Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk about Relic of Gods, which is one of the newest game modes that has been added to Seiya Legend of Justice. And this is a guild game mode, which is really nice. And it's kind of a combination of both boss battle and also PvE, which also is once again very nice because right now in the guild system there's only kind of the guild war, which is the kind of more PvP focused, or well, completely PvP focused. So this really helps to complement the existing features and try to add a bit more variety for what you can do for the guild as a whole. And also, I think there's a lot of nice strategy and coordination you can do in the guild in order to try to push this as far as possible. So that's also really nice. So yeah, I've been really enjoying this game mode, to be honest. I'm gonna this game mode, first of all, right now it's only in the test season and also has only been out for about 3 days. Not all of the maps are even unlocked yet. So I will probably do a complete guide once again in the future. But right now, I just wanted to already talk about a few tips and hints that you can potentially try to do just to make sure that you guys are actually progressing well in this test season as well. Alright, so first of all, background context for how this game mode works is that first of all, there are various different tiles. Each tiles have a level. So for example, this is a level 3 tile, and there's also some resources you can get per hour as a result of that. Now, so the main aim is that you basically try to grab as many of those tiles and grab resources as possible. With all of those resources, you can then upgrade various different things for your knights to give them power boost. Every 2 days, I believe, what's going to happen is that there's normally going to be some kind of boss that you need to defeat. Once you have defeated this boss, then you will be able to unlock new map areas, etc. Now, I'm not too sure how the final reward system works, but I'm gonna probably guess it's either by the total amount of resources or the highest amount of damage you're able to deal to the boss, or something, some combination of that, or maybe just the furthest game progression you're able to do, because I don't actually know how difficult are the bosses. So I don't actually know yet. So I'll probably talk about that in my future video once I've actually completed this entire event for the first season. Now, the way you occupy those tiles and also attack bosses is that you have a box of different knights that you're able to bring. Each one of them is going to have stamina. The stamina do recover over time. And basically what happens is that when you do use them in a battle, certain stamina is going to be deducted from them. So you can't just use the same knight all the time. And that's pretty much it, really. Now, so this is kind of the basic context. Oh, the other thing is this explore section, which have the missions. So basically for those missions, you need to complete them. And as you complete them, it will give you additional benefit. For example, you are able to bring more knights in your box, or you're able to occupy more tiles at a single one time. So those are all really good. So definitely try to, your first focus is probably try to finish off the missions if possible. And to be honest, the missions are generally fairly straightforward. So obviously for the ones which upgrade your class to a certain level, you just need to wait, right? This is an idle game, so just wait for the resources per hour and then you should be able to upgrade them. Now, in terms of occupy tiles, it says occupy here, but actually what happens is that you only need to attack rather than occupy. So, and also what actually I found out is that you don't even need to occupy them all at once. So, and also you can keep on attacking and then abandon. So let me show you an example of a tile which I have. I won't abandon it, but I'll just show you it's possible to do so. Is this mod tile? Nope. Alright, let me just try to find my tiles somewhere. It should be around here. Yeah, this green one. So for example here, right? What I can do is that there's the option, if I click on it, there's this option to give up. So if I actually give up this tile, then I can choose to attack this tile again to occupy it. That actually basically counts towards your mission. So when it actually says, for example, you need to occupy 5 level 3 tiles, you don't actually need that. You can just occupy 1 tile, give it up, attack again, give it up, attack again, give it up, attack again, and do that 5 times. So that's one way of doing it. So you don't actually need to occupy all 5 tiles. And that's actually really important. Mainly for guild strategy and coordination, because you probably want to give the higher resources to certain members of your guild who are able to do the most boss damage. And this is going to be my take on how to progress far in this game mode. I personally think this game mode is all about boss damage. And the reason is, what's gonna happen is when you are up against all of those tiles, basically what happens is like even in level 4, basically what happens is you need to fill 2 teams. So for example, so I need 10 knights. But what happens is that if I bring my 5 knights for the first battle and they for one reason are defeated, all of the enemies still sustain all of the damage. So theoretically, you can pick back up the fight again with your second team and so on. So eventually, provided you have enough stamina, it's actually really easy for you to defeat those tiles in theory. Whereas for the boss battle, that could actually take a long time. Like the different, like the whole guild together collectively took like 2 or 3 hours just trying to defeat, maybe not 3 hours, maybe like 2 hours just to defeat the first boss of Fee, and that's with kind of like vast majority of the guild. So that's like 40 people or maybe 30 people all attacking at once. And it took like the whole 2 hours, and that basically just shows you how strong and how long it could take for the boss battle. And that's only the level 1 boss. I do imagine, for example, this boss against Radamances would be even longer. And from what I've seen in the Chinese version, I think there are 4 bosses in total. So the first one is Orphe, second one is Radamances, third one is Pandora, fourth one I think is Hypnos and Sanatos together. So they're actually like 2 boss in the last battle. And I can imagine they will get harder and harder. So in order for you to actually not block the progress, you really need to want to take out the boss as soon as possible. So really what you want to do is you want to focus on characters and knights and also members of your guild who are able to do the most amount of damage against the bosses. And that comes into multiple different ways, which I'm going to talk about. So this, once again, because this event hasn't completely finished and this is only test season, so I'm making a few assumptions here. But try to follow this assumption because I think it probably would help you. But if it turns out to be wrong, then I'm sorry, and I'll try to make a complete new guide once again after this entire season finished. But I just don't want to block you guys from any progress in this test season because you still get rewards for this test season, right? So you still want to go as far as possible. All right. So like I said, I think the main strategy for this game mode is to prioritize boss damage, and this really come down to I think 2 levels. Actually, no, 3 levels. The first level is quite straightforward. When you upgrade, you want to upgrade on the class which have most of your boss dealing characters, or is able to cover the most amount of your boss damage. For example, for me, I know for certain my Seiya God Close literally do like 50 or 60% of all of my boss damage. So it's a no-brainer for me to concentrate on Seiya God Close and this warrior class to make sure he deal as much damage as possible. Seiya God Close is by far the highest boss damage character right now. Like he can deal like at least double or maybe even triple the amount of any other character is able to dish out. So this is going to be my suggestion, which is in your guild. Definitely try to prioritize the members who actually have a high level, say a god close. So that's kind of first off. But yeah, on the first level, you want to make sure your characters are upgraded for based on their potential to do boss damage. Then the second level is on guild level, which is what I said. You want to prioritize those members who are able to do higher amount of boss damage. Primarily those who have say god close, I'm gonna say. But if your whole guild together doesn't have too many say god close, then prioritize other members who typically deal out really high boss damage, etc. And the way you prioritize those members is that you want to give them as much of the high level resources as possible. Now, so before Ophi was defeated, the highest level of resource was only level 3. So you have a combination of level 1, level 2, level 3. However, there's not enough level 3 tiles for everyone in the guild. And what that basically means is that at that point, what I would suggest is that prioritize all of like everyone should have minimum at least one level 3 tile. I think that's a certain because you definitely want to make sure everyone's able to progress on their missions, etc. Now one tile is enough. Like I said, you don't need to occupy all five for this mission because you can just give it up and then attack again 5 times in order to satisfy this mission. So everyone should have minimum one. But for all of the other tiles, level 3 tiles left over, give them all to the people who are able to do high amount of boss damage. Like this is for certain what you need to prioritize. Just make sure they have the highest amount of resources so they are able to scale, so they're able to upgrade their power the highest, unlock those additional effects, and because they will scale better in terms of damage output against the bosses, it's just gonna help you together collectively for the whole guild. And the other thing I think is quite interesting to know is that for once, as soon as you defeat or feed and move on to level 4 tiles and unlock the new map, which have level 4 tiles, what you can actually see is that level 4 tiles. I'm trying to find a good example. Yeah, here. Level 4 tiles can actually be occupied by 2 members of the guild at once, unlike level 1 to level 3, which can only be occupied by 1 person. And basically, what this means is that as soon as you defeat or feed and unlock the second stage of the map, theoretically, everyone should be able to have the highest amount of resources per hour. So, and because of that, you don't really need to worry too much about kind of resource balancing after the first 2 days. It's only kind of the initial first stage is that you want to prioritize all of your resources to those boss dealing members so that you are able to defeat or feed as soon as possible to unlock those new stages. And as soon as you unlock new stages, I think everyone in your guild should be able to share off the level 4 fairly well. As you can see, like our guild is quite big. Our guild has like 60 active members, and there's still loads of level 4 lying around. Obviously, it could be because it may be too difficult for some members to take, but still, considering every single tiles can be occupied by 2 members as well, I definitely think there's enough for your whole guild as soon as you're able to move on to the second stage of the map. So definitely just try to prioritize resources for the first 2 days to those boss dealing members of the guild. Then the third thing I'm gonna recommend is based on the stamina. So what I said, for every single night they have stamina, and I don't actually know what's the cap of the stamina, but from what I have seen is that it can go as high as 200 or maybe even higher. I once again I need to test it out in this test season to see what is the limit, but it seems like you're able to stock up really high. And what I would actually suggest is that when you have your box, save your 5 best boss dealing characters and leave them aside. Do not use them in any battle to take those tiles. You want to save up all of their stamina so that as soon as the boss is available, dish them all out at the boss and try to clear the boss as soon as possible to unlock the new stages, etc. For any of your attacks trying to take over the tiles, try to focus on the other 10-15 knights in your box and try to use them to take them, but definitely trying to save and make sure you always have the 5 boss dealing knights available completely and just free them from any kind of other waste of their stamina, etc. So this is the other thing I would recommend. There's also a trick you can do with this box as well, which is that you can see I have some empty slots which I haven't filled in on purpose, and now I'm going to show you a clip as to why this is the case. But basically, in a simple high level sense, is that if you're you can see all of them have stamina. Let's say my Seiya God, who is my main boss dealing character, he actually have a stamina of 0. What I can actually do is I can replace Seiya God with another knight. Now that new knight will have a stamina of 0. However, I can then place Seiya God in one of those new empty slot, and the way this game works is that any character added to a new empty slot is going to get a starting stamina of 60. And basically what that means is that I can instantly refill my Seiya God stamina from 0 to 60 straight away, which is very nice, especially in boss battle. Once again, if you're trying to clear out the boss as soon as possible, etc. So that's also something you can do. It only works if you have an empty slot, so it doesn't work, for example, if I already have a knight placing and then I try to swap it twice to swap back into Seiya Goku doesn't work like that. It have to be an empty slot, which is what I actually recommend. You do not fill in your slots straight away. I'll probably recommend a good balance for the first 2 days before you clear the first boss. It will be 5 main boss characters set aside. Do not use them for any attacks. Then potentially another 8 to 10 knights who you would be using for your normal kind of taking resources, etc. And for any other slots, just keep them empty and use that for this refill trick at the boss battle. Once you come to the boss battle, I'd recommend try to do this refill trick probably only once, because that allows you to bring in 5 extra knights, which would be really needed for those level 4 resources, because for level 4 resources you actually need 2 teams in order to take them. So you definitely need extra knights in your box by that point. So I think it's recommended for you to try to do this refill 1 rotation and just add in 5 extra new knights at that point. So that's probably what I recommend. Yeah, I will show you the clip now just to so you see this in action as to what I mean by kind of refill by putting the knight back into an empty slot.